So we've now driven around 1,500 miles and arrived in Pompeii. Have a look at this map and look on the bottom left. It says Grand Theatre. That's where we'll start. It was constructed in the 2nd century before Christ, initially built into a natural hill and adapting the Greek style of theatre design. It was one of the earliest permanent stone theatres in the Roman world. It could seat around 5,000 people. Carved out the hillside, the seating area was divided into sections. That would have been the stage there. Now looking down, it underwent renovations by Helonius Rufus for his public image. Outside is that pathway that runs around the top. Theatre hosted a variety of theatrical genres, including tragedies inspired by Greek models. There's a picture of how it would have looked, with the people sitting around. Even had a sort of a small roof part over it, I guess for the sun. And there you see it in all its glory. This is outside the top, walking around the outside wall, looking over Pompeii. The eruption in 79 AD covered Pompeii, including a great theatre and ash and debris, preserving the city structure for centuries. But thankfully they dug it out, and I mean that's pretty well preserved, isn't it? Pretty good. Can't believe 5,000 hustling, bustling people there. Outside the wall on the right hand side, you'd have come out there through those gates into that lovely garden where people probably went out and had a tinny and a ciggy in the intermission. Obviously I'm only joking. And I would hazard a guess that these gates here, or doorways, would probably have been where you bought your tickets, unless of course it was free. We'll next have a look if you can see the Grand Forum, again upper left. Most Roman cities had them, and they would be for politics, markets, all different sorts of things happening up there. Very busy. You can't see it, but it was on the floor, the most amazing beautiful tiles. Now these columns and walls, I'll show you on an image shortly of how it would have looked. But those tiles would have been all beautiful marble, polished and shiny. There are still some left, and it is such an amazing place to have a look at. Sadly it was so windy that particular day. Again, how these columns remained is shockingly amazing. So looking down towards Vesuvius in the background there, through the forum, you'll see it in a second. It's just so amazing how it would have looked. This would have been part of one of the columns. Still, the carving is unbelievable. Look at that, unbelievable. So have a look at this now. Vesuvius is in the background, and down that far end would have been this. That would have been the forum, and you can see the columns on the left and the right. And just picture what I've just shown you, because that's now pretty much all that's left of them, but that is how it would have looked. Such an impressive building. We're going to carry on through that left arch in a minute, which you're now going to see there, and off towards the north of Pompeii through the streets. I would so much love to have gone back in time. I'd done some work on a Troy movie. One was an American one with an actor that's in Coronation Street coming up. Yeah, put his name down because I can't remember. Lovely chap though. And it was just like going back in time. This is all made out of plaster and you could walk on it. Even this made out of plaster. I then did some work on another Troy movie, the one with Brad Pitt. This is the film set. Again, all plaster, all walking on it, and it's exactly like going back in time. I remember walking around the set one night time and just thinking, my goodness, this is the closest you're ever going to get to going back in time. And I think for me, going to Pompeii is very much like that. That was Troy's Gate on the film set. It is just like walking around, going back in time. So, enough of my little rant on. Maybe a tiny fraction more. There you go. People walking on the plaster. I had some of those costumes on in the movies. This is back in the real Pompeii. Again, look at that. Preserved from 79 AD. Who did it? How did they do it? How long did it take them? I wish when you watch the documentaries it would tell you about all these things. Look at those beautiful tiles. Look at that. And it's a shame because you can't actually see the correct colour of the walls and how they would have actually been. Some of them still have a lot of the paint on, but it's still so hard. You've got to really use your imagination. That is how that place would have looked. Beautiful. All the lovely baths. Walking through the streets, look at those massive cobbles. Apparently they worked out that the tracks, the cart tracks that run round through these stones, actually there was a one-way system. That's one of the forts on the furthest northern part of the wall. They had those all the way around the outside to protect themselves against marauders. Although bearing in mind Pompeii was actually pretty much at sea level. And you'll see, I mean, look at it as far as the eye can see, just buildings. It's such a shame. I wish they'd actually build one of the streets as it would have looked. That would really be special. So you can see there's huge stones in the road. I'm assuming, and the cart tracks, look, I'm assuming that's because of all the water and sewage that would have run down the streets. They would have had to have that. I'm not sure if that's original wood, because that's the one thing that Herculaneum does have that Pompeii has hardly any of, is actually original wood. But then again, Pompeii was far closer to Vesuvius than Herculaneum was. Look at the vast expanse, pavements. I mean, we think we're so modern, but when you look at that, you realise that I think it would have been a beautiful place to live. A few smells, a little bit of disease. Come on, you can live with it. And there you go. Look, that's how it looks. Workers building the roads. They even laid every single stone. The camera just doesn't do this justice. There's so many places where there's millions and millions of little stones. And look at those bricks. Carving in road signs with animals. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. There's some of the paint on the walls. And some of the images. How they were preserved, goodness knows. But I'm glad they have been. That arch or mausoleum, whatever it is, would be in someone's house. There's a few of them around. If anybody knows what they are and what they were used for, then please leave them comments. But look at how decorative that is. So clever. I might put one in my house. Imagine living there, look. And that would be more of an image of how it would have looked. They were just so modern and how they designed their stuff. Oh, right, moving on. Don't want to mess with the algorithms. I didn't do it, okay? It wasn't me. Most houses, if you're wealthy, had these little splash pools in there. I don't know whether they used to walk in them or literally just have a water feature, I would imagine, to show off to the neighbours all their wealth. This was, I think, a very wealthy person's house, based on all that artwork and the amount of rooms and the actual size. In some places were literally just a tiny little shop, which is a small room, and a floor above, which sadly you can't see anymore. But look at this one. Very, very wealthy. In their gardens, they would have grown huge oranges, huge lemons, olives, grapes. Pompeii even has its own vineyard and wineries. I think that would have been someone's garden. And there is the table of, oh God, what do you call it? Bar of a shop, and behind those pots would have kept their wares for you to buy. I kept wondering what was in those doorways there, and I think if I remember rightly it was something to do with water coming down. But again, don't quote me. Just leave what information in the comments so you can tell me. I really need to work on my narration skills, don't I? Another little shop, look. How amazing. And someone laid all those tiles, and the pots are built into the bar in that one. Wow. You know, the last time that somebody had their hands on those was, you know, people buying their fast food. The owner, maybe he laid the tiles, serving up each day. I'm guessing that was his fire in the right hand corner. It looked a bit like this. Very neat and tidy with all those beautiful tiles, wooden front doors, and he would have probably lived above. Okay, look down far right is the amphitheatre, or you know it as the Colosseum. Apparently it is the oldest one ever built, and they say that they based the Colosseum and took the designs from this one. It doesn't have an underground like a lot of them did, and as we all know, they would have come through these tunnels out into the middle section for their games and animals and sacrifices and whatever they chose to do in there. Huge, amazing place though. There's tunnels all the way through there to get to your seating, or there's outside ways of getting up to the seating. Look at them. How did they build that? How in 79 AD? It was actually, they say, something between 50 and 70 AD this was actually built. Who was the architects? Where did they get the money from? Who are the builders? When you sit out there, and it is quite small, it looks big there in the image, but it is quite small. Can you imagine having to fight in front of all those people? Or die there? Very scary. A lot of the seats have gone, and that's where you see the grass. Oh, how very romantic. We won't fight, don't worry. Look at that. Standing in history again. Wouldn't it be amazing to see? That's how it would have looked, and it would have had a sail on the top with a roof. Taking a sneak look outside and over into that garden. That's where some of the vineyards are, over on that side. Down this side, and you can take a lovely little walk back through all the olive trees and cross to the other side. This shop has paintings of different animals, which they assume are the different types of animals that you could have found in that shop and in their pots. Water wells all over the city for free water coming out of the mountains. Look at that art. That is unbelievable. You've got to go. Don't put off and say you should. You've just got to go there. I can't actually remember if this is the Macellum, or even what Macellum is. You could tell me. But if you look at how that looks now, an image will come up very soon to show you how it would have looked. Wow, look at that. Really amazing. We've all seen the bodies on the television. There are hardly any left now. There were a lot when I first started going. And I'm sure you all know that they obviously found voids in the ash, filled them with plaster in order to make those shapes. Some of them even had teeth. I'm not quite sure how they did that. But they're about the last ones you can actually see. I think this bit would be the poor end of the town, where I would probably live. As you can see, the streets are so much more narrow, and a lot of the buildings are sort of really built close and on top of each other. But again, fascinating nonetheless. This is famous, and they've apparently put that in there to show anybody that was going to come in and rob them that there was a big dog to the house, but I think you'd have heard it before you'd actually seen the picture. And you'd think in such a tiny place there wouldn't have been that much crime, because everybody would know what was going on. And who would have been the police force anyway? This is one of the far southwestern entrances into the city, going through this beautiful tunnel. Quite a steep upward incline, so it must have been quite difficult for the animals and carts to get them up there. That was the arch up there, coming back down this hill, so yes, you'd have had to come down there. And I guess technically this would have been outside the city, so a bit less protected than the inside part. When you follow this out through the gates on that western side, what you'll find is there's a train station, which I'll show you in a second. There we go. Last image of some poor chap looking out, thinking that he lives in absolute paradise, which he did, until that kicked off. Vesuvius, I mean. There's a little train station. Looks like a little toy train station with a bar and a cafe built in. So if you are in Italy, you can reach Pompeii, get off this train, and go straight into Pompeii. Hop on your train and back to wherever you've come from. So that's quite nice. And here comes said train. Ooh. I guess lots of people catch this to go to work if they live in Pompeii. Quite handy. I don't think there's many tourists coming off that in January. It was a lovely little bar though. Had a lovely drink. If you remember me saying Pompeii was actually right on the shoreline, but this is the built up area that's, well, I don't know where they got the soil from, but it's a massive, very, very tight, crammed, packed in area that's built up on the water, the sea, the Mediterranean side underneath Pompeii. And I was driving around because I'd just never done that before and I wanted to have a little look around. This part is obviously not as pretty as the main Pompeii, and I guess it is a port, so I guess you can't expect that, but I'm sure in summer when it's lovely and warm it wouldn't be too bad. But we had a beautiful coffee, probably one of the best coffees I've ever had in the world, from these three brothers in the shop with my very limited Italian. And then we packed up, got ready, and decided we'd head off, but to who knows where. We were going to be going down to Sicily, then on to Malta, but our plans changed, so we decided we'd go somewhere else. And we hope you enjoy there's Vesuvius. We hope you'll follow with us and come to our next destination. Goodness gracious, that car's done so well. Really has done so well. Right, first stop, Lidl.
Where the beautiful mountains in the background, I don't know if you can even see them on here. But today we're continuing Lidls of the World. Don't forget to buy my book, Lidls of the World. This one is in Pompeii. So let's see what we can get in Pompeii, little. Come on, where are those mountains? Can't believe it. Where are they? There, look. A little surrounded by mountains.
Oh, this one's got a dodgy wheel.
So you can get your money back and get another one.
I didn't even put
Oh,
it
lady's
in
got a dodgy wheel trolley. Let's see what different things they have in Italian, little. Oh, had a little bit of an accident here. These three fell into my trolley. The joke is that in England, those cans are £1.49. Here, they're 69 cents euros. Here's another absolute joke. A bottle of, we call it Paul Daniels instead of Jack Daniels, so it's the poor man's Jack Daniels. In England, £15. Here, €7.50. So we're going to get 2 bottles for the price of 1. They fell in the trolley as well accidentally. The food here, the prices. I mean, some of them are quite normal, but wow.